Homes today look sleek, modern, and minimal. Most houses are painted in neutral tones, with open floor plans, polished countertops, and smart technology quietly running in the background. Walk through a new build, and you'll probably see stainless steel appliances, energy-efficient windows, and LED lights glowing from the ceiling. Everything is functional, efficient, and a little predictable. But just a few decades ago, homes told a very different story. They weren't just places to live, they were cultural snapshots. Every odd design choice, every strange feature, reflected what people thought was stylish, convenient, or even futuristic. Many of those choices didn't last, and today, they've almost completely vanished. Imagine stepping back into a 1960s or 1970s living room. The first thing you might notice is the sunken seating area, known as the conversation pit. This was once the height of sophistication. Families and guests would step down into a cozy circle of couches built right into the floor, designed to encourage eye contact and intimate talks. At the time, it looked futuristic. Today, most of those pits have been filled in with concrete, remembered more as a tripping hazard than a chic design. Nearby, you might find a wall-mounted built-in ashtray. Smoking was so common in mid-century America that architects actually included little metal trays in the walls of living rooms, bedrooms, and even bathrooms. The idea of carving smoking into the blueprint of a house feels shocking today. But back then it was considered normal, even polite. Technology also crept into homes in ways that now feel outdated. In the 70s and 80s, home intercom systems were considered futuristic. Imagine pressing a button on the kitchen wall to tell the kids upstairs that dinner was ready, or paging someone in the basement without yelling. But once cordless phones and, later, cell phones arrived, those intercoms became dusty relics, often left hanging uselessly on walls. And who could forget popcorn ceilings? Those bumpy, textured surfaces spread like wildfire from the 1950s through the 80s. Builders loved them because they covered imperfections and were cheap to apply. But homeowners today see them as ugly dust traps. The first thing many people do when buying an older house is scrape them away. Step outside, and you'd find tall TV antenna towers jutting into the sky. Families relied on these metal skeletons to catch a handful of broadcast channels. Adjusting the antenna was a family ritual, someone outside twisting the pole, while another shouted from the living room, a little more to the left. They looked odd, like mechanical weeds, but they were lifelines to entertainment. Inside, design choices could be bold, sometimes too bold. Imagine a living room carpeted in thick, orange shag carpeting, plush enough to swallow your feet, or a kitchen filled with avocado green, appliances, Evansies and blenders, all in the same mossy shade. Bathrooms were often done up entirely in pink tile, inspired by First Lady Mamie Eisenhower, whose love of pink became a nationwide obsession. Walls, too, told their own story. In basements and dens, wood paneling created a dark, cabin-like atmosphere. In trendier homes, mirrored walls stretched from floor to ceiling, making small spaces feel like optical illusions. And at dinner time, familias didn't gather around a table. They gathered around the television, balancing TV dinners on foldable tray tables. Phones were the heartbeat of the home. In hallways, builders often created little telephone alcoves niches, with shelves designed specifically for rotary phones. With long curly cords, privacy was rare, but the phone was sacred. Larger homes sometimes had multiple phones in the kitchen, in the master bedroom, and even in the bathroom. A phone in the bathroom seems absurd today. But back then, missing a call was unthinkable. And music that came from built-in record players disguised as heavy wooden furniture. Some units even doubled as storage cabinets, while sewing cabinets tucked neatly into corners gave families a space to repair close a skill that feels old-fashioned today. The holidays had their own quirks. 2. Imagine a living room lit up with a shimmering aluminum Christmas tree, its metallic branches glowing under a rotating color wheel. Outside, nearly every backyard had a clothesline, with fresh laundry flapping in the wind. Many kitchens contained ovens with built-in clocks and futuristic dials, while certain eccentric homes even featured bubble windows, round portholes, that looked more suited to a spaceship than a suburban house. Bathrooms were no less peculiar. In some, you'd find carpet diem, wall-to-wall carpet, right up to the bathtub. Builders thought it looked luxurious, but the smell of damp fabric told a different story. Fold-down ironing boards were hidden in kitchen or hallway walls, ready to drop down when needed. Wealthier homes even had dumbwaiters, small elevators used to send laundry or food between floors. Bedrooms, meanwhile, had their own claim to fame. The waterbed. Nothing said cool in the 70s or 80s, like a giant mattress sloshing with water. Ads promised it would revolutionize sleep. In reality, they leaked, broke, and caused endless back problems. Still, for a time, they were a must. Lighting, too, had its eccentricities. Colorful rotating lampshades cast moving shadows on the walls, while homebar units turned basements into cocktail lounges. Mirrors stretched endlessly across walls, and in some neighborhoods, homeowners even installed private outdoor phone booths, giving family members a place to talk in peace. All of these features tell a story about how families once lived, what they valued, and what they thought was stylish. They remind us that home design isn't permanent. What feels trendy today: open floor plans, granite countertops, smart fridges might be tomorrow's strange, forgotten relic. So when we look back at these oddities, from conversation pits to popcorn ceilings to pink bathrooms, we aren't just laughing at old designs. We're remembering a way of life, a time when families gathered around the television, when every backyard had a clothesline, when shag carpeting felt like the height of comfort, and when aluminum Christmas trees promised a futuristic holiday glow. These homes were strange, yes, but they were alive. They reflected their time, and perhaps decades from now, people will look back at our smart homes, our IV-enabled ovens, and our grand white kitchens, and say, "Can you believe they used to live like that?"